Good day and welcome to the YouTube channel once again, irrespective of where you're watching from. This is the part 2 of the essay writing video. I just want to say quickly, I'm sorry it's been 6 days since the last video. It wasn't deliberate, it was because I had been hospitalized, been on treatment for God knows how long. I just had to put my stuff together and do my best to share this for you so that you can ace your application. And I hope that it's benefiting you irrespective of where you're watching from. And so I hope to hear your testimony. So without further ado, we'll be going to the part 2 of the video on your essay, and we'll try to finish up within a possible time frame. Please note that I would appreciate if you take out your time, write down the things and the points you identify, align them to all your previous goals, and then we can have a synchronized thought, and it will do you good, and also to be a testimony for all of us. One man's good is all of us good. I hope to hear your testimony. So let's get started. Okay, so we're back at the site, and we're starting with career plans. Of course, you have career plans, and you can see, first of all, before you discuss your career plans, the selection panel will want to understand how your proposed study will assist you in your career. Now, to answer that or to discuss that, you need to first of all identify research skills and or objectives, which I had already said in the former video, in the first video, that the objectives the learning outcomes or objectives, whichever one you see it as on the portal of the school you're applying to, is what you should leverage on, then connect to the objectives that is relevant to your research problem and then to your future goal. And so you can give example. Okay, let's say you're going to do a quantitative analysis of water quality assessment. So you're going to learn water quality assessment. Then you know that, okay, you're going to learn water quality assessment in relation to the problem at hand is that they are poor hygienic or unhygienic water consumed. So when you learn water quality assessment, water quality whatever, and all the processes that relate to that, identify that and say, okay, this is the skill you will get by research. Experientially, you get this skill, or experimentally and technically, you get the skill. What is the skill? Water quality assessment. By research, you'll be able to establish basis for why and how it can actually be domesticated. Now you're learning from advanced schools in the UK, of course. So your research is going to help you. If I were you and you're taking a research such as that, you look at that research and tell yourself, okay, identifying these things here and learning them here in the UK, I realized that, okay, there are sophisticated tools or approaches. How do I domesticate them? That may be your area of research. How do I domesticate them? By what other alternative processes can I adopt to bring these things first to the poorest of the poor, to the marginalized people group, to people who are not able to do on their own things they should have done? When you realize that, that can be a research skill, because your research have empowered you with the ability to bring the high and mighty approaches or solutions to the low and marginalized people group. That can be an example. So that's an objective, of course. Then when you give that basis, on the basis of that, you now talk about that by the short term of it, which is usually 3 to 6 months, like I said in the first video, upon your return, you'd have realized that, okay, one, based on your findings of your research and your technical or experiential or experimental skills, you will need to conduct a conference. It could be a do-it-yourself training seminar, outreaches, whatever, where you carry these people along and let them see these things done. I wrote one of my proposals career plans sometimes ago, and I carried people along to share how I teach children how to use ashes and sand to actually mold structures like You can mold pendants, mold key holders and things using just a few other apparatus. Of course, that's not what I'm going into. But that was for me to say I was equipping children with knowledge that was actually relating with their minds and giving them, and the students learned. So that could be it. Like in 3 months, I would have gathered a total of 500 students and a student, high school student, or dropout children on the street, and equip them with do-it-yourself skills set that is will be appreciated in the community and all of that. I gathered more than 40 students to pick up plastics from the road, and I fed them at least 2 square meal a day. Gather me a bag, a 50 kg worth of a 50 kg filled sack with plastic. You have 2 square meal a day, not 50 kg worth. Just pick it and stuff it up in a 50 kg, well arranged, and you have 2 meals for the day. That could just be it. In 3 months, you intend to have double that price, that population, and seek out collaborations with organizations where that are into recycling or whatever, or you can start up a hub where you sell recyclable things, or you can start up recycling materials. And on the medium term goal, you can mention stuffs like taking up a managerial position. Yeah, but going by the illustration on plastic, I remember saying earlier in part one of the video as a disclaimer, I'm jumping across several feeds, so you don't sit down and build up on my storyline and then write. Your story is unique to you. Your story is unique to you. It's a deliberate attempt not to have a synchronized story to share. It's just the understanding and knowledge you need. So please take it as it is and think through, write your story. So I'm going back to my plastic illustration and I'll say this. And so just imagine I'm writing now on my medium term goal. I intend to have collaborated with at least recyclers, Y cyclers, wife class cyclers, and new initiative. There are so many organizations and parastatals. On the medium term goal, I hope to have attended seminars, exhibitions, show exhibitions, Lagos Exhibition Fair, West Africa International Exhibition Fair in Congo. You just name it. You follow information, build on information, and relate it with your interest and your short-term goal. Let there be connectivity and continuity. And by the time I've written that, you realize I've written less than 213 words, which is very good. You don't have to exhaust all your words. And then you advance to your career plans 5 years later. And what do you talk about? You want to take up a higher education. Talk about in 5 years from then, you'd have started up your own PhD. For me, I could talk about, okay, in 5 years, I hope that the knowledge and experience I've gathered should help me to start up my recycling company, which will from the start up em- employ a minimum of 50 persons. I'm already using children who are wandering on the streets to pick these things. And so I'm having about 400 students or 200 students or 20 students, as the case may be, whichever, and I'm feeding them just 2 square meal a day. Whether they are satisfied or not may not necessarily be the quantity. I'm not necessarily be talking about the quantity, but I'm talking about the quality and the reward. And so I'm having 20 children. So by 5 years from now, upon return from study, I hope to have gathered enough. That means my collaborations with other organizations, I've learned the rudiment, I've learned the structure, I've been exposed to certain things. I realize there's a gap and vacuum that I can also come in and fill if I start up. So I intend to leverage my collaborations with them to start up. And when I start up, there are other things I want to do uniquely. One is that I begin to do researches or whatever, publication of researches, or the funds from the income generated from this recycling business. I hope to use it to actually sponsor children that have been resourceful in the early days through their at least maybe primary school or secondary school studies. I'm giving back to the community, taking from community, giving back to the community. You know, so just be specific. And then in the next 25 years, I hope to vie for the office of a political office or political appointment, or seeks to start up maybe a secondary school, that a boarding house where all the people I bring there just come to learn the plastic recycling. You know, get international collaborations and sponsorships, and secure funds for a minimum of $10,000, maybe every 3 months, to foot bills and this. You just articulate, picture big dreams. This here, the 5 plans is your big dream, 5 plans plus 5 years plan plus. And then you talk about everything you have to do. You want to go into politics, you have a dream to aspire to do this and that, whatever it is, just mention it there. Then you have to be specific in your mentions. Yeah. If you notice, I was mentioning organization, I was so specific about it. If you pay attention to my voice in my explanation of how I was coining the story, you realize that what I said are there in the bullet. So while you watch and read, listen also very carefully, and you be able to relate. And identify big projects and objectives that you can work with. You know, I talked about a collaboration that I can decide to do. While I'm talking about that, I would seek partnership with Obama Foundation. I'll seek partnership with the Trump Foundation. I'll seek partnership with the TDJ real estate, whatever. You know, just identify the organizations that have support system, that have platforms that you can leverage in. So that's talking about research. You have to research international organizations and all of that where you're talking about it. So what projects do you fit into? Even within your home country, Rwanda, Somalia, whichever, just check what projects are going on. If there are no projects going on in your country that you can partner with, what projects are available or resources are available to Somalis internationally that you can leverage, and when you come back to your country, you can apply or adopt and apply to your case study. Check it out. Ghana, just name it. Kenya, whatever country you're watching from, you realize that okay, it will help you. It will do good for you. And so the long-term goals, for the long-term career plans, there is a code. I call it the bar code. Bold, ambitious, and reliable. And to be bold, you have to spell out goals like becoming a political representative, president, a World Trade Organization secretary, United Nations representative on women affairs, uh, Secretary General of in the West Africa, continental waters, whatever. You just check out those offices. There's no harm in dreaming big. There's no harm in dreaming big. Ben Carson made us realize that. So dream big. Share your big dreams. You hope to own a university that runs fully on scholarship to people who are interested in environmental sanitation. You hope to run a scholarship for people who are genderly marginalized people group, religiously disadvantaged people group. You just hope to do one thing that is massive. Go all out. Be bold. Be ambitious. If you see the things I mentioned, they look unachievable, but they're actually attainable and achievable. There's a clause I may like to borrow you. You could start this long-term plan by saying, or by you may end it by saying, all the above dreams may seem unachievable, but you're strongly believing that as long as there's a will, there's always a way, and you believe that challenges are pedestals for rising high. As such, you see yourself achieving it in the next 25, 30 years. Be specific and be time bound. I put something there earlier, smart approach. If you adopt it, you get your results down. You can mention goals like becoming a country ambassador. I discuss everything. And when you do that, you realize that you would have actually addressed all that you need to address within the given word frame, and you don't actually have much repetitions. You will see that there's a continuity and a reminder, so you don't lose your identity in the course of the writings. By the time you're done, you go to personal statement and voluntary and leadership experience. So here you can read through what is required of you, but I'm just going to go through the little guide I provided for the personal statement. For a personal statement, just talk about issues like an engaging story of your humble beginnings, Yeah, at the heart of it, you can read through. At the heart of your personal statement should be an engaging story of your humble background that is captivating. If you want to go the emotional route, please go the emotional route. If that appeals to you, you want to go the storytelling route, go the storytelling route. You want to go informational, go the informational. You want to go deductive, go the deductive. Whichever approach you want to go that suits you. You want to go inductive, go inductive. Whatever it is, statistics that influence your decision, go. Just remember, you have just 500 words. So whatever it is, you have to leverage your word count and use it maximally. So you want to go financial, go. Whatever it is. In doing that, a little about your academic journey, reading your connecting your undergrad and professional background will add spice to your story. Yeah. And while you do that, also briefly highlight community development programs that you are involved in, all of that. So I'll just give you a simple illustration. So back in the days when I was a student, an undergrad, I figured out that there are quite a problem with management of environmental resources, as majority of indigenous plants were depleted on daily basis without replacement. Without much help and being the first generation graduate who's fending for extra 8, I knew I have nowhere to resource to for help. So I took up menial jobs like lending help in restaurants, washing plates, and doing the dishes. Choose one, doing the dishes or washing plates, whichever one, whichever suits you. And every penny I saved from that, I used in buying seeds to raise seedlings of these indigenous plants, such as Pachia biglibosa, which I take to the forest regions and plant with the consent of the local authority to ensure that these species don't go totally extinct. When you put issues like that, you realize I've talked about a little of my story, my personal community engagement or involvement. I talked about my academics and I've talked about my background. Just take it and I'm done. Like that might be all I will have to say. If I feel like adding more, I can add more. Of course, when you write and you read again and you read again, you can actually add more to it. So I could just go, and this culminates into my interest in environmental resource management at the University of so. And looking at this course and this module and this other module and so staff and so lecturer and the QS ranking here, I realized that this is the best place for me to undertake this course, as it will give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for my career in the next this and that, and it aligns with the sustainable development goal. Literally, I'm done. A personal statement in less than 412 words. And that's an advantage. And so when you do that, you come down to your voluntary and leadership experience. Now, I said something earlier about me taking initiative to do. So voluntary experience, I could recap that story, or I could go back and build up on that story. There are two things to do. I say adopt the STAR approach. I explain the STAR leader method, and also personalize your involvement with the I and not we, even if you were just tagged along a team. Now, what did you do? The situation was that I saw that it was getting depleted. For instance, Backyard Big Libosa was going every day, and so many other plants. This is literal story of mine. I'm sharing. I saw task. What was the task? What did I do? I took up initiative to go out fending, sourcing for money, and raising seedlings. What was my action? I raised seedlings and went with the permission of the local authorities to start planting the seedlings. Are you seeing my story now? And what was the result? In the result, if I have data statistics, I'll tell you. I can say, okay, by the end of 10 months, I had raised over 500 seedlings and I've transplanted 350, and I gave out 20 to the school department, and I also gave out 40 to the local authorities, and the local government, maybe so number. We transplanted to certain settings. No, I by the end of it, I had actually raised awareness in the school. I held a meeting in the school, which I did. I had a meeting in the school on tree deforestation, reforestation, afforestation, and tree awareness. I call it tree awareness engagement. T tree awareness engagement. TIE. I know it was a seminar and delivered and all of that. Those are my results. At the end of the day, I got 7 volunteers. These are results. So you could talk about that, and by the time you're done talking about that, you realize that okay, fine, this thing is not far from being fetched, and it's not difficult. You could talk about leadership. I also took a student government leadership as another grad. You can talk about your experience there. When I got to office, there was a bank office there was a bank account that was ineffective. The executives were no longer there, and there was nobody heralding anything. And ever since it existed, monies have been collected and they were never accounted for and they were consumed, and no project was done. In my first 3 months in office, I took up the office. I created a dignified presence of us in the department. We had our department designed, logoed, celebrated. We initiated waste bins as an environmentalist. We initiated. I call it we because I carried my executives along, but all of them, the initiative were all mine, solely mine. I started a project, tutorials and seminars for all students, where I was able to lift over 27 students from probation to pass to pass and credit status as undergrad. And by the time they were graduating, I recorded 7 of them who graduated, 7 of the over 400 attendees who graduated as 2-1 and first class students. Those are leadership experiences I'm sharing there. I pioneered a movement that was spiritual with over 13 members, and we rose to over 150 members because impact was felt and seen in their lives. And so on that basis, I have leadership experiences I can build together. So I have learned collaboration, I've learned teamwork, I've learned problem solving, I've learned team management, I've learned team playing. So when you're talking about leadership experience, these are the things you can browse out. What are leadership experiences skills? What are the leadership skills? What are the skills that leadership experience can give you? When you browse them, you check out and be honest, because some of these things, when you mention them, they'll be checked, they'll be tested, they'll be tried. So if you are tried and found wanting, you will lose the opportunity. You may just receive a call from the university. Don't forget, Commonwealth Share Scholarship is the university who nominates you to the scholarship body. They nominate you. You can be nominated by both of them. The Commonwealth Scholarship body can nominate you if there is no admission. I can take interest in your application. If there's no admission, go. However, it's very rare. It's in rare cases. It's the university who will nominate you to them, and when they nominate you to them, you will be shortlisted and whatever. And before then, you would have also received your admission letter, whether conditional or unconditional. You receive it in your mail. So whatever the case is, just be sincere. Get these things, and when you get your facts straight, I'm sure you have all that you need. And there is a clause I made in the latter part of the video. I'd love you to take note of this part that I'm highlighting. I say, and in my opinion, when you talk about this, if you actually have documented pictures or reports like news or papers, you could just get the links together into a single folder on a Google Drive account or a single document, and they can stay here. Now, when you're doing that, maybe your result, you can just say, and the results are, you know how to insert hyperlink. Insert the hyperlink. If you use your PC, even if you use your phone, you can insert hyperlink. And you insert a link, just click it. And links can be, Google Drive link can be very long. So you can go and shorten it. Shortener. Then you put a statement there, the link has been shortened, so. Since you can't upload PDF here. Don't forget that all of this you're doing, when you're applying to the university also, you will actually have to write a personal statement. Let it not be too different from this. Because the university have access to this information. They have access to the information you're submitting to Commonwealth Scholarship. And when you're applying to them, normally, they still have access to it. So they will compare and contrast. So if you're contradicting yourself in two sides, you may not be considered serious, or you may be considered as unable to articulate your thoughts properly. I hope that this video helps you, and I hope that you leverage the informations therein and use them to your advantage. Once again, apologies for all delays, and I hope that we all benefit from subsequent videos. Irrespective of where you watch from, please let me know where you're watching from and what is peculiar to your environment. It will help me guide in several other videos to come. Having said that, let's go to the next column. You can now see your attachments, and here you just attach your transcript, full transcript, your personal information of your national identity card here for UK scholarship, research, and experience and exposures to many of my friends who got this particular scholarship. I was reserved last year, but those who got this particular scholarship, when you upload any other document outside of international passport, you're at a disadvantage. Yeah, 80% at a disadvantage, because you might just not be shortlisted at all, not even recommended. I also made that mistake. My first application in 2021, I used a national, I think a national ID card, or my country's ID card, driver's license or so. But when I realized that and I had it, I got my passport, and I was reserved last year. So I tell you from experience also. So I wouldn't know why. Maybe competitions were much for the course I went for, whatever. There was no explanation to that effect. So to not be just reserved and abandoned, please do your best and get your international passport, your full transcript, of course, details, and get all your university degrees. And if you do that, you're on your way to, you fill all the remaining informations here that you believe in and all of that. And by the time you feel it, you realize you're about 90% done. You need to sign a recommendations letter or whatever. You are gone. And then you submit. Don't forget, the deadline of submission still stands at 14th December. It's 1st December today. Happy New Month. And I hope you subscribe, like, share, leave a comment in the comment section, letting me know where you're watching from, and if the informations here are relevant to you. Put in your application. Remember, there's a slogan here: quitting is never an option. I hope to hear your testimony and see you in the next subsequent video. Ta-da!